Charboneau and David Lynn Miller.
Welcome to Dudes on Movies. I'm your dude Scott.
I'm your dude Dave.
And today we're kicking off Pride 2025 with 1987's Maurice, directed by James Ivory and starring James Wilby and Hugh Grant. Dave, why don't you give everyone a synopsis?
Yep. The movie is based on E.M. Forster's novel in which a young man grows up privileged in England around the turn of the 20th century. And when he gets to university, he realizes he is gay. But not only does he struggle with this discovery about himself, it's Edwardian England in 1910, so even if he wanted to, he could never be open about who he is because society feels it's unnatural and it's also against the law. So on top of all that, the man he loves also wants to keep everything a secret, and that becomes a conflict as well. It's a story about having to hide who you are, while also sometimes not noticing your role in the world's inequality. I'm sure we'll have a lot to say about all these things.
Yes, and this was a Dave pick, so why did you throw this in our schedule?
Well, for anyone who doesn't know, this is a Merchant Ivory production. Ismail Merchant and James Ivory are a producer-director duo who were also a couple for 40 years until Merchant passed away. And their films are often period dramas based on literature, and they're known for being sophisticated character studies. But these movies can also be demanding of audiences because they deal with heavy themes, and they require a lot of attention. And I thought this would be a good Merchant Ivory primer because even though I think some of their other films are better, I still think this one has a lot going for it. And since we're in Pride Month, why not go with it?
Yeah. It's a good pick, I would say.
Good.
I'd never seen this one before.
Yeah.
And the poster shows Hugh Grant pretty prominently in an early role of his.
Yes.
Which is awesome. He's nice and young in the film.
Right.
But it does that poster thing that you hate when it says, when like someone gets big later and they make them the forefront of the poster. The
Yes.
movie's called Maurice, and he's not Maurice,
It is really misleading, for sure.
Now, do you know much, like when this movie came out, was it well received or anything? Like, I don't remember. I know it was nominated for like an Oscar for costuming and stuff like that. When I was researching this, I did discover that a lot of people went back to it and think it holds up incredibly well.
Yeah.
Especially in today's climate, and I would definitely agree with that.
Right.
These themes are more important now than ever.
Yes, and to answer your question about how it was received at the time, I mean, I don't have a lot of memory of it because I would have been in like fourth grade at the time, but like I read about it and found that it was very well received by critics and audiences. I mean, like James Ivory's movies, Merchant Ivory's, all their productions have all been very well received, very well respected, and this was another one of those.
And didn't they use a lot of the same cast in, like, not every movie, but they would a few people were in a handful of their films.
A lot of people had done, like Anthony Hopkins has been in two of them, two of the biggest ones.
Okay.
I mean, my personal favorite is The Remains of the Day, and he is the star of that film.
Okay, I need to watch that one then.
Yes.
All right, so this movie, when does it kick off? It's like 1901 or something. It's the turn of the century.
Right, turn of the century.
And there's some schoolboys going on a trip through like some field to the beach, and one of them turns out is our young friend Maurice, and he's a boy of like maybe 10 years old, something like that, and he ends up going one-on-one with the teacher, like walking along the beach, and the teacher takes him and knows that his father died while he was young, and he has no other like adult male influences in his life, so he wants to try to help him. He talks to him about the birds and the bees, and it's a really funny scene because he's being very like very open about it, like, and not like mincing words, but sometimes he's struggling with saying the names of certain genitals and things.
Yes.
It's quite funny, but he does a very good job teaching this kid about this stuff, I think.
Yes, Simon Callow plays this teacher, and he's doing that very upper-class English thing where he's trying not to say what he's not supposed to say. And he uses Latin names for genitals.
I forget what he calls a penis. He says like the member Aurelius or
Yeah,
something.
a member Virilius or something. I mean, yeah, it's like, God, dude, just say penis.
And then he
won't you?
says vagine or something like that.
I couldn't believe his pronunciation of the word vagina. Unreal, man.
It's that inappropriate. He can't even pronounce it correctly.
I mean, look, if you feel like you can't even speak it out loud, but that's the thing, though. That's the other thing. He might actually think it's called that because he's so bookish and so, like, just buried in academia. He has no, like, concept of the outside world, that the rest of the planet literally says the word one way.
Yeah.
But no.
And he does say that to young Maurice, like, hey, your body is a temple, and, like, you cannot disrespect it ever. You know, that's fun to tell kids that.
I mean, yes, of course, right. And also that, like, yes, the sexual act does exist and you'll be interested in it, but you must only use it to for procreation.
Yes.
And it must be with your lady wife in the marriage bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while he's doing this, he has a walking stick with him, and he's drawing images in the sand of penises and, like, labias and uteruses. They're textbook drawings, like,
Yeah.
literally.
But that he was dancing around all this and using flowery language to describe the act, but then he feels okay with drawing it in the sand.
It's like super bad. Like, they're just drawings of all kinds of cocks. Like, and it's funny too, because as they leave, he's like, "Oh no, I forgot the drawings," and he rushes back to, like, get rid of them. But Maurice says, "No, the tide's coming in. Don't worry." So he doesn't go back. And then, like, a couple, like, proper women and their daughter stumble upon it, and they're like, "Oh, good Lord!"
Yes, they get the vapors looking at this guy's sand drawings.
But Maurice says, "You know, I don't think I ever want to get married," which I thought was an awesome thing for a kid to say. You know, very insightful. Like, because a lot of kids think, "Oh yeah, you grow up, you get married, you have kids. That's what you do." You know,
Yeah.
but no, I don't know if I want to be married. And the professor reassures him, "No, you will. It's what happens, you know. And you and your wife can come to dinner with me in 10 years and be our guest."
Man, he's got the whole thing mapped out.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously Maurice probably doesn't know about himself at this point. Maybe he does. It's hard to say. But that he already kind of knows that marriage might not be for him. Maybe not even because he's gay, but because he realizes that early on that, like, it in no way suits his personality.
Right, yeah. I think I read that there's something in the novel or in a draft of the novel where he does have something for, like, another student at
Okay.
this age. And I think maybe he's a little older than this. But
You're right.
I haven't read it or anything, so I'm not sure.
You're right.
But,
I read about that too. And yes, I have not read the novel either, but I guess in the book, he is a little older than what we see here in the first part. And yes, there is a character named George who Maurice is in love with.
Okay, yeah. So that's the intro to the movie. We see him as a little boy, and from here on, that's it. You know, we see him at Cambridge in 1909, you know, getting his gentlemanly education.
Uh-huh. Yes.
And he's in, like, a lounge area with some other students, and I think there's a professor there, and they're all talking about all these philosophical ideas and what you do when you're a person of this caliber. You know, you just talk about all the wonderful things of high society, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. Only the upper crust philosophers do this kind of thing.
Yes, this type of higher learning university life has always interested me, of course, because college in America, even at our most expensive and exclusive schools, doesn't seem to offer this level of hard study. And, I mean, could you imagine sitting in a circle reading Plato's Symposium and translating it from the original Greek in real time?
Yeah, that's intense.
Hardcore.
Yes. I couldn't believe that scene. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I wish I could do that.
Me too, of
right?
course.
Like,
yes.
that's insane.
Right. And then this particular scene where like you said, they're discussing society in general, and you know, there's the guy Lord Risley.
Yeah, played by Mark Tandy.
Yes, he's quite a character. Like,
He's great.
man. And this movie is full of actors with incredible diction.
Mm-hmm.
Simon Callow in the first scene with on the beach there, but like James Wilby, Hugh Grant, Billy Whitelaw, Denholm Elliott, they come later, and I know they're reciting lines from a script, but I'm still taken aback by how well spoken they are. Probably because I would love to be that way. I'd love to be perceived that way. At least someone who knows how to articulate. Instead,
Yeah.
I'm often talking too fast and you know, like breathing too heavy and trying to push my point home too far. And I mean, I think I do a pretty good job at doing what I'm supposed to do in a conversation,
Yeah.
but I'm not like this.
I agree. This is well calculated, like extremely well spoken.
Yes.
They say exactly what they thought, exactly how they planned to say it every time. It's wonderful to watch,
Right?
Because, like you said, we envy that. We wish we could do that. And I mean, when you see them in this scene, the stuff they're talking about, they get confrontational, like Risley and Maurice do, because Risley just won't shut the hell up, basically.
Right.
And Maurice says something about how, I don't know, he talks too much.
Yes.
And they get into it about how, like, your deeds are better than your words. Like, so, you know, your actions speak louder than just saying stuff, right? Walk the walk, don't talk the talk.
Yes.
But Risley says, well, you know, I am doing an important service by speaking my ideas because these gentlemen are learning from it, and they're I'm shaping their consciousness by doing this. You know, they're actually thinking about the things I'm saying. And that has importance too, which I guess is true.
Yeah.
But I think he's just being a little asshole here.
There's that
which
too.
is definitely what he's doing.
Because like Maurice, by the way, James Wilby plays the adult Maurice here.
Yes.
Yeah, Maurice, I'm pretty sure he is. I mean, I think that he is correct in that your deeds are more important than your words. And I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter that Lord Risley is so eloquent and is so learned. If someone is actually being charitable in their deeds and they're helping people in life, that is way more valuable and important than any book learning that Lord Risley finishes.
Exactly. It really is. And so after this little altercation here where they kind of like are arguing about this kind of stuff, we cut to later after this meeting where Maurice is walking and Risley catches up to him and is like, hey, he must have fascinated him by confronting him.
Because I don't think anybody else ever does.
Probably not. They just let him talk and like, okay, whatever. Just whatever.
He's the
Risley.
smartest guy, so he gets to talk.
So he invites him to like a special meeting with him and some other people and stuff like that. So Maurice ends up going to the room he's supposed to go to meet him there, and Risley is not there, but we find Clive, who is played by Hugh Grant. And Clive is working on a paper about like Tchaikovsky and all this, and he and Maurice kind of hit it off pretty quickly.
Yes, they bond a bit over their admiration and not hatred of Lord Risley, but they both think he's kind of a jackass.
Yes.
And they immediately go out together and they start playing piano in this bar. And I think that they both realize that even though they both come from a lot of money, and they're both at Cambridge, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, no one gets to go there unless you have a lot of money. And they're both very posh, but they also have non-posh interests.
Right.
And they like to, you know, have a good time and sit in a room and just, you know, drink beer, which is not what, like, their fellow Cambridge students like to do.
Right. Yeah, that is below them.
Right.
You can't do that to be this kind of an English gentleman.
Right.
And so, yeah, they really hit it off. And like you said, they're like at a bar and they're playing the piano or whatever. And there's a great scene. It's really subtle and not like really highlighted. Hugh Grant grabs an apple off the table and like walks around the room and like takes some bites and stuff. And he comes over to the piano where Maurice is. And like Maurice grabs the apple out of his hand and then he takes a bite from it. And I think it's so symbolic of these guys' relationship. Like they're sharing this thing without even realizing that it is a thing they're sharing.
Right. I might ruin your amazing metaphor now by just telling you that, like, geez, it really freaks me out. Like, if I really liked somebody and I was sexually attracted to them, I wouldn't want their ABC apple.
You wouldn't want to take a bite?
I couldn't do it, no.
What about a peach?
No,
Come on,
no,
you want to
dude.
call me by your name? Which I found out that it was written by the same guy.
Yes.
I was like, I had Call Me by Your Name vibes while I was watching this. I was
Dude.
like, oh shit, he wrote it.
James Ivory, I guess I don't know if it was a record, but he was 89 years old when he won his Oscar
Wow.
in 2017.
That's
like,
amazing.
that's awesome. Yes.
So cool. But yeah, I love the apple allegory. We'll
Yes.
call it that.
Right.
it's one of my favorite things in the whole movie, and the movie's just filled with great stuff.
Right.
So,
but yeah, it is an unmistakable thing to like having to share something like this. That's pretty intimate.
yes,
right
and
away.
you know, you're biting into food
Yeah.
that someone else. Yeah, that's pretty intimate for sure. And so some time passes. It's like a year later. I don't know. I think it says it's 1910.
Yeah.
And we see. I don't know if Clive leaves or whatever. He's packing up, but they talk about their family life a little together. And we see that they've become very close friends here. And Clive doesn't really love his family too much. His mother is kind of overbearing, I guess. And
Yeah.
he doesn't feel loved entirely, I guess. And, you know, his sisters are fine, but, you know, he hates going back home. Maurice is kind of the other way. Like, he doesn't really mind his family.
Mm-hmm.
So he loves his sisters and his mother.
Right. And they even though they both are very wealthy, it looks like Clive's family has a bigger palatial spread than
Yeah, once we see their homes, like
yes.
they're both very nice, rich homes.
Yes, they
but
are.
Yeah, he has a big palace in the country
Right.
that takes an hour to get to.
yes.
And you could live here for a year without contact and be fine. Like,
And I mean, it's one of these big. I always call it the Julian Fellows mansions because
Yes.
it's like that. It's just and there's like staffs of people who live there and take care of it, and you know, there's like a butler and a housekeeper, and then like just people
Yeah.
who, you know, like work the outside. There's like we'll meet a gamekeeper later.
there's a lake house.
There's a
I mean,
yes, right,
you have a lake and a house
Right.
on the lake.
and
So,
a house for the boat.
yeah, there's a boathouse. Who puts their boat in a house?
Only the Durhams and Michael Corleone.
Yes, that's true. But yeah, in the scene when we first learn about their families here, they get a little playful. I think Maurice starts hitting them with some boxing gloves.
Yes.
And like they start wrestling around on the ground. And so real quick we're seeing that they're getting physical, and it's a flirty type of thing. It's not just teasing or anything like that.
Right.
It's very flirty.
Yeah, and I like how it ends too with I think Clive ends up on the ground and Maurice ends up putting the trash can on his head.
He does.
And I think it's somewhat to one thing because it's funny to do, but I also think that they both understand what this is and maybe it's a little overwhelming for them. So we better like make this as silly as possible.
Yeah, and I'm going to put a physical barrier between our heads.
Right.
That way I can't kiss you.
Yeah.
You know, because the temptation is there.
Hugh Grant.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
he is so freaking handsome in this movie.
Unbelievable. Even when he becomes like a big gentleman later with the
Yes.
slicked hair and mustache, it's like, holy jeez.
He still looks great.
He looks amazing.
I know, right. And like I know he looks very smug because he always does.
Yeah, it's Hugh Grant.
Right. But like I just kept looking at him in this movie like, oh my gosh, like yeah, I can see why they made this guy a movie star.
Oh yeah, I mean it's undeniable, right?
Right.
And I guess it cuts to later, like in the year, right? And
Yeah.
There's another scene of them in the room together, and Maurice is in the chair, and Clive is kind of leaning against his legs, sitting on the floor, and I don't know what had just happened or something, but they're just hanging out there, and Maurice is stroking Clive's hair with his hand, very sensually, and I mean that is not something you do, just sitting there with your buddy, unless you have sexual interest. There's no way.
Right.
So I don't know. This feels like the first time they've gone this far with this kind of thing. And then so while this is going on, Clive turns around and like gets up in the chair on the lap of Maurice and embraces him. And after a moment, they like almost kiss each other. Before they can do that, the door is like barged in by a bunch of the other students. And so like they get up and like I'll play it off and stuff. And they're like, oh, it's tea time or dinner or something.
Right.
And no one wants to be interrupted in that moment, right? And so
Certainly not.
I think Clive especially might feel a little foolish here. He seems flustered by it. Maurice not as much, but you can tell they're both caught off guard. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, it starts with Maurice sensuously, you know, like stroking Clive's hair.
Mm-hmm.
But when the scene began, I mean, they're both sitting there reading their own stuff, and you just see Maurice's legs in the frame, like he's got his legs crossed, and then you see his hand come in. Morris is sitting, or I'm sorry, Clive is sitting against Morris's legs.
Yeah, he's leaning
So
on
that's
him.
how it starts.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that these afternoons together where they just get together in the dorm and read together, like, either Morris or Clive has tested things. Like, I'm going to have my chair be 6 feet away this time, and now I'm going to have it be 3 feet away, and now it's just I'm going to sit on the floor, and now I'm going to sit against him, and let's see where this goes.
Right, because it's been maybe, like 6 months
Yes.
since the scene with the trash can on the head, right?
Yes.
Like, it's gone from that to, hey, we're, like, leaning on each other
Right.
while we're reading.
And that's always how it works, obviously. But that's how it works even in the best circumstances where your love is not illegal.
Yes, because you can be thrown in prison for this.
Yes.
Just for having the thought of it.
For the thought of it.
Yeah. Ridiculous, isn't
Right.
it? Like, there's a few quotes in this movie, we'll get to them, that are just wonderful. I love the quotes. I don't like that they have to say it.
Oh, of
because
course,
it
right,
spells
yeah.
out how horrible this stuff is, but
Yeah.
they're great quotes. We'll get there. But, yeah. So as they're leaving here, Clive calls Morris over to him, like, they're like out in the quad or something, and calls him, like, hey, he's still kind of flustered, almost embarrassed, but he tells Morris, like, I love you. And he just spells it out right there, I love you.
Right.
And Morris can't really believe it, and kind of doesn't know how to take it.
He tells him, don't talk rubbish.
Dang.
Which, when you tell somebody you love them and that's what their answer is, I mean, that is hard to take.
Yeah.
And it's also, it sets the tone for the rest of the movie in a weird way, because the story that comes after this is flipped. Like, Clive being brave enough to tell Morris that he loves him with people within earshot.
Yeah.
Like, that is really courageous. And for Morris to totally reject him that way, and then he watches Clive run away, and he calls after him, but it's too late. The rest of the film, the rest of the story, is the characters flip their motivations, which is an interesting way to frame this.
It really is. And it becomes more about Morris wanting this and being denied it.
Yes.
And so, like, they see each other at the dining hall, and Clive has to read a prayer in Latin or whatever, and this is a really cool scene. It's brief, but, like, they're looking at each other from across the room after what had just happened, and seeing each other's just look on their face about
Right.
how they're feeling about this is wonderful acting, and it you can tell that Clive is hurt, and Morris almost feels a little sorry for how he handled it.
Right.
And so later that night, Morris sneaks into Clive's window while he's sleeping, and, wakes up Clive, and it's like, what the hell? What the hell's going on? Someone's sneaking in my window, right? And Morris climbs in and comes to his bed and kisses him and says he loves him. And then he turns around and goes out the window. It's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
It's
yeah.
cool. Like,
Right.
hey, I was a complete asshole because I was caught off guard. I'm sorry. I love you too. I'm never going to do that again. It's awesome.
It is. And he's, like everything you just said. And also, I acknowledge your feelings. And next time we get together, we're going to, obviously, some stuff's going to happen.
And I think before he sneaks into the room, they actually did kind of address the situation in a scene where
Yes.
Morris did come out and say, hey, I'm sorry, but I do love you. I love you too. And Clive doesn't believe him.
Right.
It's like, you are just being polite because you don't want to hurt my feelings. And I'm just damn lucky I fell for someone like you instead of someone else who would have turned me into the police right away.
Boy, that's really gutting.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing the way Clive reacts to this. That, like, oh, I am getting the I love you that I thought that I wanted. But I don't really believe him. And also, like, he's so in the face of true heartbreak like this. He's just like, listen, just back off, dude. Everything's cool. And by the way, thanks for not having me arrested.
Yeah.
In that way, he's really sincere. But he's also kind of like, look, hey, some things were said. He's trying to be really brave and gallant here. And
Yeah.
it's you can see right through it, of course, because, I mean, you know how he feels.
Yeah. And that leads right into the next scene when he
Yes.
sneaks in at night. Yeah. And then after that, like, I guess it's the next day or the next several weeks or something. Who
Right.
knows? But like, they steal this like motorbike with the side carriage.
Yes.
And they end up going to like the meadow, and they have this. They're totally smitten, right?
Yeah, of
like,
course.
and they're embracing this. They're not hiding it. They are hiding it from the public by going in this secluded area.
Right.
But they're fully 100% like, yeah, we're doing this.
And then Clive stops it before it gets too far.
Yes.
And he
Says
tells...
it'll spoil everything.
Yeah, he says he's going to spoil everything. And he tells Maurice that, like, this can't go any further. We cannot be physical with one another.
Man,
Yeah.
that sucks, doesn't
Right.
it?
Right.
Yeah. And that hurts Maurice because he wants to. Clive, this is kind of the beginning of what you said, like the tables turn.
Yes.
From this point on, Maurice is pursuing Clive, and Clive lets him pursue him to a point, but ultimately doesn't allow it, he doesn't fully accept it and embrace it and allow it to happen.
It's a situation that plays out many times in all of our lives where we pursue someone and they don't want us back, but they keep us around.
Yeah, that sucks, doesn't it?
Right.
And what I think sucks most about it with Clive is that he does want Maurice, but he
Yeah.
won't allow himself to have Maurice.
This whole thing of him not wanting to pursue it, he's being totally practical about not just the current laws in society, but also he doesn't want it to affect his future.
Right, because he's supposed to be some big, like, magistrate or something, you
Yeah.
know? Like, he's got a big political future ahead of him.
I think he's got noble blood on top of that. And yeah, it would just never do to just go off and be a bachelor somewhere and have this secret life.
Can't allow it. Society won't let him.
That's right. So it's more is expected of him.
Man, that sucks.
Yeah.
That really sucks. And so they end up back at school, and Maurice gets expelled from the college because he stole that motorcycle. Yes. On top of probably a bunch of other minor infractions, I'm sure he did.
Yes,
Yeah.
because the dean also didn't like that he was cutting class, and he mentions that when they went off in the motorbike, they did a thing where they might as well have done donuts in the quad. Or
Right,
something like
yeah,
that,
they
'cause
were-
the dean was really put.
They
out
were
by
told
this.
to stop and
Yes.
come back, and they were basically flipping the guy off, like, "Nuh-uh, screw you, we're out of here." Yes, and so he's been kicked out of school.
Yes, and it was also it's implied, I think, here by the dean that he knows like what Maurice is.
Yeah.
And when they were doing that symposium reading, the one guy, when it was his turn to read, he's in the middle of what he says. The dean told him, "Okay, skip that part." He said it's about the unspeakable sin of the Greeks,
Yeah.
and so it's right then he knows that, like, okay, but we know where this guy stands, and it just sucks. I mean, you can omit the unspeakable sin of the Greeks from your reading all you like, but it's still there in real life, and it's still natural, and that you're this bothered by it
Yeah.
says way more about you.
You can't read about it. You can't talk about vagines. You can't do anything. You can't allow this.
Right.
Let alone two penises at once. I mean, holy cow.
For shame.
For shame. Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to expel everyone out of this school.
That's an unspeakable sin.
It is, man. Two. Heck, one. One is almost a sin.
Yes. One is a sin. A peni, that's a big sin.
Yeah, too many dicks, man. You're going to hell.
Right. It doesn't lend itself to goodness.
But yeah, so like Clive sees him off at the train, and he goes back home, and we get to see Maurice at his house with his family, and he's there with a guy named Dr. Barry, played by Denholm Elliott.
Yeah.
And I don't know what his relation is in the family, like he's a friend or something.
Yeah,
but
I think it's because the dad is deceased. Then Dr. Barry would look in on
I guess
his mother and
he's
stuff.
a friend of the father, and
Yeah.
he's always coming in, and
Yes.
yeah. So at first he's like happy that Maurice is back home. You know, he's like, this is where you belong. You know, this
Right.
is your place. You never fit in at a big snooty college like that. You know, you belong here in the city. But then he kind of turns his tune real quick on him and is like, yeah, how dare you insult your mother? And you're a disgrace to chivalry. And he says all stuff like this to him. And you better write that apology letter to the dean because you need to get back in that school.
Is this the first time Dr. Barry has made a speech like this to him?
Probably not.
Okay. Yeah.
I imagine he's done this several times to him.
I thought the same thing because he takes liberties really quick, and he's just like goes right to that. Like this doesn't seem like it's unfamiliar to him.
No,
He's talked to him this way before.
And like his mother and sisters are outside hearing this through the doorway.
Yeah.
And so they knew this was coming, right? Like this is why he was here essentially.
Right.
Maurice is coming home. He got kicked out of school. Well, I better go talk to him.
Yes, and we brought over Dr. Barry to give him a talking to.
Oh man. And so yeah, that's a fun first introduction to Maurice's family.
Right. And Maurice's mother is played by Billy Whitelaw, who I think is just one of the best actors. You know, we saw her in Quills on our show, and I guess she was very. She originated many of the roles from Samuel Beckett's plays. I mean, she had a long career, and she's awesome.
Yeah, and she's great in this.
Yes.
I think everyone in this movie is really good.
Yes.
Even some of the minor characters, like some of the sisters and stuff, they
Right.
don't do a lot, but the scenes they do have, like they're excellent.
Oh, I know. Yeah, everybody's really good in this.
Yeah, and so now we get to see Clive's family. I guess Maurice has been invited over to his palace. And,
Yes. Pendersley.
And what?
It's Pendersley.
They have a name for this place.
The house has a name.
Fuck that. Dude, what the heck? Mine has a number in a street.
Dude, I know.
Yeah, so he's invited over here, and it seems starkly different from the scene we just saw where he's getting... it doesn't seem pleasant, and
Yes.
everyone here is happy. Even though Clive described his family as an unpleasant thing,
Right.
everyone here is very loving and open and wants to invite everyone in. Let's have a great time. So, like, I guess they're having a big gathering. Is that what's going on? Because a lot of people are showing up.
Yes, it's part of, at least at that time, noble houses would have these gatherings quite often, where it would be this large shooting weekend. This country life is based around like country sports, and that's why you have a full-time staff of beaters and gamekeepers to carry people's broken rifles and beat the bushes to like get rabbits to come out.
Yep. What a place, man.
Yeah.
And so they end up putting Maurice in what they call the Blue Room. And I guess Clive planned it this way because it's in a wing of the building where no one else is going to be.
Yes.
And he can sneak in there anytime he wants.
It looks like the kind of room that would be like the servants' quarters.
Yeah.
And because it's not a large, expansive, full bedroom suite like everybody else is staying in that has a full fireplace and,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
I thought it looked great still. Like, I would love to stay there.
Because Maurice looks out the window and is like, oh my gosh, look at this view.
Dude.
And yeah.
You're in a castle.
For us, yes,
Yeah,
we would be like,
essentially.
yes, oh my gosh, oh, I'm living in Spartan conditions in this massive castle.
Oh no, I'm where the help live. Good Lord. Better than my apartment.
I know.
But yeah, Clive does sneak up on him while he's in the room and tackles him on the bed and kisses him. And they're lying there, and the maid walks in and kind of sees them.
Yes.
Doesn't say anything about it, but you can see like she has a look on her face. I'm curious as if they've seen him do this stuff before. Like they're aware
Oh, that's interesting.
that
yeah.
this behavior happens because they never say anything about it, but they always catch glimpses of Clive and Maurice like getting really close together and almost kissing and things like that. Like this maid walked in on them, and
Yeah.
then there's the guy on the bicycle later who sees them.
Right.
And I wonder if they've just known this for years and years and years, and they just can't say anything.
Well, because of who they are, like the maid especially,
Right.
she knows she really can't say anything because even though she could blackmail Clive, she knows that she would be dismissed from service if that happened.
Yeah.
And then she wouldn't have a reference, obviously, for the next house. So, like, Clive feels total freedom to do this, to, like, kiss Maurice in front of the maid because she's not a person to him.
Right.
And this is where I mentioned earlier with, like, not seeing your role in the class struggle. I mean, like, yeah, it's a sad romance between two guys who can't express their love in public, but they're also children of privilege, and they disregard servants throughout most of this movie until the very end.
Yeah. And even, like, Clive's mother doesn't even know the name of, like, Alex Scudder.
Yes.
And he hates that when that happens. He becomes a character in a little bit. But they treat them like they're nothing. They're not even people. They don't even have names.
A little later, this maid doesn't come on first ring.
Yeah.
And Clive's mother, I rang the bell 3 times.
Oh, good Lord, lady.
I mean, yes.
Get your own, like, stuffed quail.
No
Come on.
shit, come on.
Dude, it sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, we find out, like, during dinner, like, this is all Clive's stuff. He's inherited all of this.
Yes, he is the man of the house. So this is all. I mean, he's the oldest son, and like the way fortunes during the Empire were, the whole thing goes to the eldest son. If there is an eldest son, he gets all of it. Now, if there's 7 kids, they don't get any of it. But those other 7 kids still have to figure out a way to continue living this way because they're noble.
Right.
That means that they're going to, like, marry people that they're not in love with because they have to, like, still maintain this lifestyle that they've been taught to have, but they aren't given the means to pursue it. Only he does.
Right. We catch up with Risley. He's out at a bar. He picks up a guy there after doing, like, some really cool, like, coin tricks or something at the bar. And so
it's like Wake and Fright.
Yeah. Oh my God. They end up going to an alley, and as Risley's trying to, like, kiss the guy, he keeps kind of, like, fending him off a little bit. Mm-hmm. And we notice from, like, the side of the frame a couple of police officers coming down. I guess they turn the corner and they just get Risley. They leave the other guy alone, and they end up throwing him into the, like, police car and hauling him off with a bunch of other dudes. So I don't know if they're just out here collecting the homosexuals to prosecute them, or if these are other drunks at a bar or whatever, but all these men are going to jail.
It's so fucked up.
It's fucking ridiculous. And so, yeah, it's all over the newspaper because we've established Risley's a Cambridge man, right?
Yes.
Like, he's not the type who would be arrested at a bar, especially for this. And
that he's even at a bar at that hour, that is not something a gentleman does.
No.
Like, he's the only posh guy in that whole
That's
that
true.
place.
Yeah, he is very out of place there.
Right.
And so Clive sees the news. Everyone sees the newspaper. Risley gets on the phone with Clive, and Clive tells him, like, hey, I cannot associate with you because I can't risk that. And that really hurts.
Yes, because, like, and it's weird too because Risley had been very unsympathetic until this moment. But when you realize that, okay, so he was a jerk, he was arrogant, he was, like, he thought people were beneath him, but being arrested for being gay,
you don't deserve that.
No. And that Clive, he's so quick to reject him. Like, no, get out of my life.
Just, I cannot speak to you anymore. I'm sorry.
Right.
That's it. Sorry.
And when he's reading the paper, he's obviously getting really scared about, like, his own feelings and, and he starts to make a plan that, like, I've got to do something right now to, like, distance myself from any suspicion of this.
Exactly. And I read that his fear that he developed from reading, like, the Risley situation, I think that was added in the film, like, as like, as a story element to drive his motivation. It wasn't because later he once again he pushes Maurice away really soon.
Yes.
And this kind of helps motivate that. That wasn't in the book.
Okay.
So, but I like it. I think it's good. He's just afraid that it's going to happen to him, right? Like, living in this place must be torture.
Right, and I think it's great motivation for the rest of his character.
I agree. I think it's awesome. And so, like, we see the trial of Risley, and the judge is basically just, like, saying, like, the future, your career is over, political ambitions completely ruined. I'll be lenient on you. I'll give you 6 months hard labor, and that's it. And he says, this is one of the quotes. He says, I am satisfied that you will pay for this for the rest of your life. Fuck this guy.
God damn.
Really?
I mean, yeah, the rest of your life.
And he's satisfied he will pay for it. That is so stupid.
I know.
Like, oh my God, what a horrible thing.
And when Risley does his 6 months in hard labor, he's going to get out and he's going to be okay, probably because he comes from money. But like the judge said, whatever ambitions he had, it's gone.
Right, yeah.
And that disgrace will always be there too. And he will be ostracized, at least from high society.
And the judge knows that.
Right.
And that's partly why he says, I'm going to go lenient on you.
Right.
Because he could put him away for life, probably, if he wanted to.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it just disgusts me. Like, when he says, this whole judge thing, I hated this guy so much. And I read there's a deleted scene somewhere, it might be on the DVD, where Risley ends up committing suicide in jail.
Oh.
I'm glad it's not in the movie.
Right.
I don't think we need it, but I mean, it just puts a finer point on things. Like he can't even live on anymore because of this stupid thing.
And it would be understandable if he went to those lengths, because I mean, the judge is correct in that like this mark is on him forever.
Right. And so we get some more scenes of like, I think Maurice and Clive are having dinner or something. I think they might be at Maurice's house, and Clive had just been like appointed as like the new barrister for something. Like his political ambitions are starting, and
Yes, right.
they're celebrating. But for some reason, he passes out at their house on the ground.
Yeah.
I don't know if he drank too much or if he's too worried about stuff after what happened to Risley.
Yes.
And he just can't bear it.
Yes, he is, because like he's worried about the Risley thing, and he went to the trial and he was there for the sentencing.
Yeah.
And he had like a hood up. He was disguised.
Right, like he's incognito.
Yes, right. So he's like in anguish over this, and then he's at his friend's house, and I think that because they're celebrating his new appointment and everything, and maybe like they're eating some rich food, the combination of all this, and then the guy who he's secretly in love with is sitting across from him. I think it was just system overload.
Probably. It could have been like that roasted bladder they were eating, or whatever, whatever you ate in like 1910 England.
Yeah. This is like that topsy-turvy thing where Barrington and Grossmith, get the shits.
Yes. But yeah, he passes out, and Maurice like tends to him real fast, tells her, call the doctor, do this. And Clive comes to after a moment, and he ends up kissing him on the lips, like just out of gratefulness that he's alive, right in front of his mother. And he tells his mom, like, hey, don't tell anybody about that. I was just happy he was alive. It was just a reaction. Like, doesn't mean anything. And the mom's like, okay,
yeah,
fine, okay.
The mom is really understanding.
Yeah.
Because it was shocking when he kisses.
It was I think the mom's even like, whoa.
I know,
What?
right?
She audibly gasps.
Oh my stars!
2 penises. 2 penises.
Yeah, or that.
Yeah. So. But the doctor comes and kicks Maurice out of the bedroom because he's a man.
Yeah.
He's not a nurse. And she can tend to him better than you can, and he kind of takes offense to it. He leaves the room, but he's very upset that they won't let him stay there to take care of Clive.
I think this doctor is onto them.
Okay, you think so?
Because he looks like he's giving Maurice this eye the whole time as he's like putting stuff in his syringe, and he's being very short and curt with him. Mm-hmm. And he's get out of here. I'm the doctor. I'm gonna and when he first walked in, Maurice said, "Oh, doctor, thank you for coming. Sorry to get you out here at this hour." And he's like not even acknowledging him, won't even look at him. He's just like, show me the patient.
Yeah.
I think he's either like, seen them together previously, or he just suspects something is up in general.
He can just tell.
Yes.
Yeah. So Clive ends up okay. And so like we cut maybe another year later or something, and he ends up going to Greece because he's had a fascination with Greece.
Yes.
Like this whole time he's been wanting to go there. It's been like a place that's you're not supposed to go there because of what the Greeks were doing. You know, it's not allowed.
God damn it.
But he's had this, like, just, he's been drawn towards going there, and he's finally gotten there. And he's reading a letter from Maurice talking about how he misses him. He's been teaching boxing while he's been away and all this stuff. He just wants to see him again, and he misses him. And he hopes he's not sick again. And, essentially, he wants to tell him he loves him, and he wants him to be back right now.
Yes, Maurice has sent Clive several letters, and this is like the 12th one. And Clive hasn't written him back.
Yeah.
And he's been on this, like Greek vacation, this odyssey, if you will.
Yeah.
For a long time. And like it just, and that's the weird thing too about the fascination with Greece, because like they're reading Plato at Cambridge, and they want to go there, and they look at it as like the cradle of civilization. But they don't want to go because of the sinful nature of what the Greeks were getting up to. And this is all wound in, of course, through the rest of the story. And you're thinking that, like, okay, if Clive has done this and he hasn't answered any of the letters, maybe he is trying to break things off with Maurice. He's trying to ghost him, essentially.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He comes right back. He walks right into Maurice's house with his family. And is like, hey, is Maurice around?
Yeah. He comes back from Greece.
Yes.
And is like, yeah, where's Maurice? Oh, well, he's not here. I wish we knew you were coming. Yeah.
Right.
But his mom and sisters are there, and they're entertaining him while Maurice is away. And the mom says something to Clive here about how I guess one of Maurice's sisters, Kitty, there's Ada and Kitty.
Yeah, Ada.
Ada has like her like a cold or something. She has a hoarse voice right now, and it reminds Clive of Maurice's voice because of that. It's like deeper and a little thicker and stuff, and it makes him like attracted to her in this moment.
Right. He hears the voice of Maurice,
which is really cool. I love this. Right. And then the mother is like, oh, yeah, she's always been just like Maurice. She even looks like him and acts like him and thinks like him and stuff like that. And, I guess that triggers something in him because he gets an idea. Maurice shows up, and the sisters have been practicing their, like, bandaging on Clive, like first as aid. A patient.
Yeah.
I guess because World War I's coming, you got to be ready.
Yeah. They're going to be pressed into duty.
Yep. And so Hugh Grant's got these mummy rags all over him. It's really funny. I love it. I love how he's just letting them do it to him. It's great. But Maurice shows up, and Clive gets really serious with him. He tells him that he's been thinking a whole lot, and things have got to change, and we're risking everything we have. We can't go on like this anymore. And he says something really beautifully sad about how like just think about like how other people can speak so freely of the people they love. Like, I want that. Why can't we have that? Like, that's what I want. And even if that means marrying a woman or being with someone else. And he says, like Ada, which really pisses off Maurice. His sister.
Yeah, it is terrible that he feels that he has to go to these lengths to hide who he is. And like you said, though, it's said in a lovely way, and the sentiment of the way he expresses it, we will never, even if we were together, we couldn't talk about it with other people. And when you think about how often homophobes say, hey, look, do whatever you want, just don't tell me about it.
Yeah.
It's not just the sexual act and what men do with one another. It's also, I don't want to know your life.
Just the idea of it makes them cringe.
Just
makes
two
them
men
uncomfortable.
Being intimate. Yeah, exactly. Like being a couple, sitting on a couch together. That's gross. Don't tell me about it.
I'm mad, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm mad.
Right.
And what like really like drives the knife into Maurice here is when he mentions Ada. Because I think he came here to tell Maurice about this, but since this moment happened with Ada, it's just more fuel to burn him down.
Like that's kind of diabolical. I can't have Maurice, so what's the next best thing? His sister, who looks and acts kind of like him, and even sounds like him a bit, and that'll be like the thing that we can like even It's
God.
strategic because that means our
Now-
families are linked now.
Now that is perverse.
Yes.
That is messed up.
100%, dude. Yes.
And so Maurice gets very upset about this. He gets angry. He's calling for Ada to come into the room, and he's trying to storm out, and Clive is trying to stop him, and they're at the door, and Clive is getting pushed against the wall, and in Maurice's rage, he ends up kissing him on the lips, like, violently. Clive pushes him off, but not without, like, taking a bite out of his lip.
Yeah, he takes a chunk out of his lower
And
lip.
he's bleeding, and you can see, like, where the tooth took a chunk.
Yeah.
It's, like, good makeup, you know? And so Ada and the mom, they all heard this, so they're, like, banging on the door, like, what happened? And Clive was able to push Maurice off, right? And he kind of stumbled backwards into a chair, and he just is crying. He's not, like, angry anymore. He just is extremely sad that he was dumped, essentially, you know, that he has been broken up with permanently now.
Yes, Clive not only dumped him, but then made this weird proposition about the sister marriage. And then when Clive leaves, Maurice finds, like, he's sitting next to the fire and he's drunk, and Ada walks in. Ada's played by Helena Mitchell.
Yes.
And there's this scene between them where he says, you know, he accuses Ada of trying to seduce Clive.
Yeah. And Clive said that you were putting all these advances on him and being inappropriate and all this stuff, and accusing her of these horrible things.
It's really cruel.
It is horrible, right? And it brings Ada to tears. Like, that's not what happened. Oh my God, why are you saying these things? And after, like, crying for a moment, she, like, is able to murmur out some words. She says, "You've always been unkind to us, always."
Ugh.
Which is just heartbreaking because this older brother has been such an asshole to them.
Right.
And then he's crying, like, as she leaves, and he whispers to himself, "It's not my fault." That's the end of the scene. It is your fault. Just so you know that. But maybe he's trying to blame that he's reacting this way because he's different from everyone else and can't do anything about it. It's not his fault he's gay.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's, like, unsaid in this scene that Maurice is dealing with and always has. Everything you just said. I mean, like, this whole thing of this society was based on repression of all kinds. And everyone at every level had to know their place. And, like, if you were gay, even if you were rich or noble, you had no shot at happiness.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Repressed throughout the ranks, man.
Right.
Even if you were the queen, you're repressed.
Especially if you were the queen, probably, yeah.
You're not allowed to do anything.
No. You have no feelings or thoughts of your own. It's all duty.
Yeah, oh, no thanks.
Right.
No thanks. I'll be a poor gay guy in jail. I'll take that over any of this bullshit, dude.
You'll be an honest man.
I will be an honest man.
Right.
There you go. Dude, this is a wonderful scene. It's one of the best in the movie.
Yeah.
And I guess it's a good time to take a break now. So why don't we do that, and then we'll catch up.
Let's do it.
Social media. It's all the rage these days. And if you take part in this racket, head over to Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, or TikTok and search for Dudes on Movies. Why, you might ask? Because we post supplemental material regarding the movies we're discussing. Photos from the films, behind-the-scenes articles, question of the week videos, and more. So if you want to be a part of the action, get over there and follow us now before this social media fad goes away. All right, Dave, we're back from the break. It's time to catch up with Clive and Maurice, see what's going on.
Yeah.
It's about a year later, I think, and we catch up with Maurice first. He's teaching boxing, like he mentioned in his letter.
Right.
And we get a scene of him, like, in the ring, teaching people, all that, and we get a scene of him in the locker room, and he's sitting there kind of by himself, and it's a men's locker room, so of course everyone's showering and there's nudity and stuff, and this is a really good, like, simple scene, I think. He watches a few guys in the shower kind of horsing around, like, in a playful way and not a sexual way. And he looks at that, and in a way that's like he can't have that. Because if he was doing that, you know, there would be sexualized stuff with it. Like, he would be aroused by it. And,
Right.
He just doesn't fit in here.
And that's one point of interest in the scene, is that he's not looking at it with all this, like, yearning. Like,
Right, like, he's not lusting over these guys.
Right. He's thinking about the things you just talked about. Like, he's being not practical, but like thinking about how if he was to go in there and start, you know, roughhousing or whatever, like, he would be excited by it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other guys might, you know, like, notice that.
Yeah.
And on top of that, Maurice he's never had gay intercourse.
Yeah.
He didn't have it with Clive, and so he has never known any kind of, like, sexual life, and the one that he wants he can't have because it's against the law.
Repression.
Right.
Man. And it's, like I said, it's a really short scene, too. It's maybe a minute of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it tells you so much about how he's feeling in this moment.
Yes.
It's, this is, like, filmmaking at its finest when you do it like this.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because it's showing and not telling.
You got
and
it.
we know everything from the context, what's going on here.
Right.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, James Wilby especially, like, you know, saying all that we just said with no words. He looks over at a shower for 10 seconds, and we knew exactly what was on his mind.
It reminds me of when we did Lost in Translation, when Bill Murray tucks in Scarlett Johansson and walks down the hallway in silence.
Yep.
It's the same kind of performance. You don't have to say a damn thing because it's all in the face.
Yes.
And wonderful acting, for sure. And so we get a scene of, like, Maurice apologizing to Ada at one point, too.
Right.
I guess because maybe he hasn't seen her since then.
Yeah.
But she's kind of over it. Like, I'm marrying some other guy now. I don't care.
Right. And that's he's very relieved probably that Clive didn't end up pursuing the
it's very good, right?
Yeah.
Like, that would have made things just horrible, right?
It would have made everything so complicated.
And so we do find out Clive is getting married, though. He calls Maurice on the phone. He's marrying a girl named Ann Woods.
Yes.
And they're getting married, and they want him to come to the wedding, be an usher, but he says he can't. He's busy. He gives a bunch of excuses, which are real excuses. Like, he does have other things going on. Like, Ada's getting married. We got this at work. I can't get up to the country right now.
Right.
But he agrees. He'll go up there in September and see them. So he wants to not go see Clive, but he also wants to go see Clive.
He wants to see Clive because he's in love with Clive and he wants to be with him. But he doesn't want to celebrate his marriage, his obviously sham lavender marriage.
Yes, because he knows this isn't true.
Uh-huh.
And I was curious what you thought of Clive's marriage. Do you think he is, like, at all attracted to Anne at all? Or is it all a front 100%?
It is all a front 100%, but I think that Clive is a good actor in that way.
I agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree. Because for a moment I thought, well, maybe he's bisexual, but no, I don't think he is. We never see him and Anne be intimate.
No.
Even in their bedroom. It looks like they have separate bedrooms, which was common practice back then.
Yes,
anyway.
especially among the upper classes. That each person, like the man and wife, would have their own separate bedroom apartments.
Yeah, and at the very end of the movie, Clive does kind of kiss Anne on the cheek, like he's behind her with his hands like on her shoulders, and leans in and kisses her, and Anne seems totally shocked by this.
Yes. Oh yeah, because like when he walks into her room and she's at that vanity, like the look on her face is like, oh my God, what's he doing here?
Yeah,
like
finally.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
But no, he's not there for that at all.
No.
But yeah, okay, so we know Maurice is struggling with his identity, right? And so he goes to Dr. Barry, the guy who gave him an earful earlier, right?
Right.
Because he thinks he has an issue with his penis, his Maximus Aurelius or whatever it's called. And
is Maximus Decimus Aurelius.
So he goes into the office and tells him he thinks there's something wrong. And so, yeah, disrobe, we'll take a look, And Denholm Elliott, is lifting it with a pencil and stuff, inspecting it. He's like, there's nothing wrong with you. What the heck? You're perfectly fine. You're capable of having many children with any woman you desire. And of course, Maurice is thinking, oh, yeah, sure, okay.
Right.
Any woman I desire, of course.
Yes.
And he tells him, he first asks, this is confidential, right? You can't tell anyone, Hippocratic oath? Yeah, yeah, of course. So he confides in him and he says, he's an unspeakable, is the words he uses, of the Oscar Wilde sort, which I thought was a great line. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And Denholm, Dr. Barry is just like, oh, no, you're crazy. There's no way. You just need a good woman. No, you're not gay. A woman will fix that. Yeah.
Dude, you just need a good time in the sack with the right lady, and it'll fix you right up.
Oh, yeah, man. Get laid by a pretty girl.
Uh-huh.
Thankfully, Ben Kingsley is kind of better later in the movie. A little bit. I think he's a little better.
Well, but he is doing homosexual conversion therapy.
Yes, but I think he accepts that he is a gay man.
That's true. He does tell him, you need to just go to Italy where
you
it's
exist.
not illegal. Right.
Well, he does have that other quote I really like. He says, I'll say it now, Ben Kingsley says, England has always been disinclined to accept human nature.
Yeah, I wrote that down too.
Yeah, so he accepts that this is society and it's not right.
Right.
That's why I say he's a little better.
Yeah, okay.
He's still trying to fix you.
You're right. You're actually correct, yes. He is doing something really bad, but in the end, he's like, you can't be fixed.
Yes. So, yeah. Maurice can't be fixed, apparently. And there's no reason to fix him because there's nothing wrong with him, goddammit.
There's nothing wrong with him. That's right. Yeah.
And so later that year, I guess it's that year.
Every sequence is 1 year later.
It almost is. Yes. And so we're back at, I guess it's Clive's estate.
Yeah.
Maurice is there. He's shooting with one guy who I guess is Clive's brother-in-law now. Something.
Right.
He married Clive's sister.
His name's Archie,
this bald
I think.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're shooting rabbits, and there's a guy grabbing the rabbits for him. His name turns out to be Alex Scudder, and he becomes a prominent character in the second part of the movie.
Yes, he's played by Rupert Graves, and it's a great performance.
Yeah, he's awesome. And so I think Anne suspects that Maurice is in love with someone, but she doesn't know who it is or what. Of course, she thinks there's a woman in the city or something,
yes.
But she tells that to Clive, and Clive, of course, knows right away, well, it's me. Yes, but he doesn't say that, right?
Talk about perverse. Clive walks into Maurice's room. And he starts poking him. Oh, look at you. Look at you. Oh, you're getting with a woman. That's great. How about that? I told you, old boy. All you needed was that. Isn't this wonderful? And he's he knows that this is not true.
Yes.
He knows that Anne suspected that Maurice was in love with somebody, and she has not even the slightest clue that it could be Clive.
Right.
And Clive, instead of walking in and going, Anne said this, and, if we're not going to be together, you and I, then we probably should spend some time apart. We shouldn't be hanging out. If I'm going to pursue this life with Anne, and I'm going to pretend that, we don't have a thing together, then we should just forget this whole thing. Instead, he's encouraging it, you know? And he almost he wants Maurice to be around so that they can have this sexual tension game.
Yeah.
Even though we're not actually going to do anything. It's so shitty.
It is. It's a bad move on his part. And Clive, I think he even asked him hey, can I tell everyone the news, that you're in love with a woman? I think Maurice just says, yeah, okay. And he knows it's bullshit. Fine, tell him, whatever. And then Clive kisses Maurice's hand and says, I haven't forgotten the past, but let's not mention it again. Which is just another stab in the back to this guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to be kind of intimate with you right now and then say I never want to think of you in that way ever again.
That is definitely a knife twist.
It's horrible. And of course, it's Hugh Grant with his charm. So I think it makes it even worse because the way he delivers it, he's trying to be nice about it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not.
Yeah. Everything I said about, Hugh Grant's good looks and his incredible speaking voice, when he's saying this stuff, like it doesn't matter what he looks like or what he sounds like. He's an asshole.
Right. And I feel like Clive thinks he's like reconciled their differences and issues and stuff. But Maurice doesn't feel that way.
And that's what sucks. Clive thinks, hey man, we're square.
Hey, it's good now. We're all good.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Bros for life.
That's right.
What? Maurice does not feel this way one bit.
Right.
You can see it. You can sense it.
Yes, you have to know. And the other thing too is that like if you are on that end of this dynamic where you're the person who's being pursued and maybe you like the attention but you don't want to actually return it, to invite the guy like specifically to come stay at your home out in the country, your big posh mansion, for weeks at a time apparently. This is like you're veering into like cartoon villainy, really.
He does get a sweet mustache, so
he does, yes.
Oh man, but this whole like scene ends. Clive goes up to his bedroom with Anne, and they talk to him. He says, "Yes, Anne, you were right about the suspicion," and he lays there in bed next to her, and they're going to sleep. I guess he is sleeping in the bed with her.
Yeah, well, okay.
In
so
this moment, at least,
as I understand it, and I'm taking a lot of this again from like just things I've read, is that there are, even though like the couple will have separate rooms, they do get together if they want to have sex. I mean, that's just what
right.
happens.
They'll spend the night in the other room or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, he's lying in bed. Anne is asleep. I mean, they're not going to do anything intimate or anything, but Clive lies there in bed and he's staring at the ceiling, and you can tell like he doesn't believe his own bullshit here.
Yeah.
I love how the scene ends like this.
One of the other things he said also in their exchange was, Anne suspects, old chap, aren't women wonderful? Aren't women wonderful?
Aren't women wonderful?
It's
men are wonderful too, Clive.
I know.
It's fine.
It is like he is really trying hard to sell this idea that I'm 100% straight.
I just love that. Yes, I am 100% straight. Like, just ridiculous.
Right.
Like, stupid dude. Oh man. But now we get the hypnotist scene. We get Ben Kingsley playing I forget his name actually.
Lasker Jones. Because and during the the first time where they were on the rabbit hunt, Scudder brought in a telegram. I don't know exactly why they put this in the movie because you have no context for it. You don't know who Lasker Jones is. And the telegram is not exactly upfront about stuff.
It sounded like some agency sent him something.
I thought the same thing. I was like, well, who's after him?
It's like, what bank is this?
Right. But no, it's Ben Kingsley. I don't know why his character is American. And I couldn't find any. Yes, did you?
I heard a British accent, his
really?
native accent. Yeah.
Oh, dude, this guy. Watch it again.
Okay,
roll the tape, dude. He looks and sounds uncannily like Kevin Spacey. I couldn't believe it.
That's not a good look.
It's not. Right?
Oh man, but yeah, he's there. He's gonna hypnotize Maurice to make him ungay. And it doesn't work, of course.
No.
But he's standing there in front of the camera, like looking at us. We're like POVing him, really.
Yes.
And his hand is moving like in and like back up, like a metronome arm. And he's trying to hypnotize Maurice, and it's not working. He's trying to convince him, like, hey, there's an attractive woman here, Miss Edna May. She's beautiful and she's attractive, and Maurice is like, well, not to me. She has lovely hair. Well, I like hair short.
So this is, obviously like early 20th century gay conversion therapy. And we're laughing about the ridiculousness of it and that they would, employ hypnosis to make this happen. When 100 years later, it's not only still going on, but there's like proliferation of it.
Yeah.
And
there's worse methods now. Just wait till we develop shock treatment, everybody. It's wonderful.
I've heard it tell. I don't know if it's true or not. Apparently, Lou Reed went through that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. His parents wanted to shock the gay out of him.
Ugh.
Yep.
Yeah, and it never works, anybody.
No.
It never works, okay?
No.
So stop trying.
I mean, like, think how, like, backward it was. I mean, like, today we have much more, obviously, society has gotten better about it, but it's still there, you know, like, in a big way.
Yeah.
And some people's whole political platform is based on the hatred of LGBTQ plus people.
And no one should vote for them.
No.
And if you do, I don't want to talk to you at all. Get
No,
away
that's
from me,
right.
please.
Yes, fuck off, please.
Yes. And so after this treatment session, Maurice ends up running back to Clive's place, and he's leaving. They didn't know he was coming back, so they're going in for some... He's got some political thing happening.
Uh-huh.
He and Anne are going into the city, and so Maurice, I guess, ends up staying there.
Yeah.
And this is where we get more stuff with Alex Scudder.
Yes.
There's this dream sequence that happens. And I don't even know if it is a dream sequence, but it starts out kind of like a dream sequence where Maurice is in bed, he's stirring, he can't sleep, but he is asleep. And he's like kicking the sheets around and stuff, but we see Ben Kingsley like with his metronome finger like overlaid on it, like trying to put him in a trance still. And then we see images of Maurice like lying dead in a carriage next to a woman, and then like he's in a boat that's sinking and he's trying to bail the water out, like all these very symbolic images.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess he wakes up and there's a ladder outside his window, because we've seen Scudder on the grounds with this big ladder trying to like clean the building and do whatever he's got to do, right? 'Cause
Yes.
he's like a groundskeeper, does whatever they need him to do.
Right. His main job is gamekeeper, but yeah, he does other duties as assigned.
Right. And so this window is, or this ladder is out the window. And so Scudder ends up climbing into his window this night. And they get in bed and they start kissing on each other's bodies and start embracing and starting to make love. And then the next morning, they're like lying in bed, talking and touching each other and all that stuff. And we see one of the servants bringing breakfast to the room. And they knock and then barge into the room with the tray. And he sits it down and he looks over at the bed. And Maurice is just lying there asleep in bed by himself. So this is why I say I don't know if it was a dream or not. Maybe they did do something. And then Scudder left. Now that I'm talking about it out loud, like I feel like this really was actually a dream. Like it didn't happen. I don't know. How do you feel about this?
I hadn't suspected until you brought it up that like the lovemaking was part of the hallucination.
Yeah.
I thought that really happened, but I couldn't understand and couldn't account for when Simcox is coming up the stairs. We're led to believe that he's right outside the door and he's going to discover them.
Right. Yeah. And then when it's revealed, like Scudder's not there at all.
Right.
If he was there, he's long gone
Yeah.
because Maurice is asleep essentially.
And he doesn't look worried at all.
No, like he's not afraid that he's found out or anything.
Right.
And because of later in the film, I don't think they actually make love until Scudder goes to England to see him. Like I feel like that might be the first time.
Okay, and that makes sense. Yeah, it all was a little too wonderful. Maybe he was just fantasizing about this.
It could be.
Yeah.
You could take it either way though.
Right.
Like maybe he left earlier. But yeah, because of the timing of him, the way they present it looks like he should have been there, right? Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking, though, that like it probably was real, because what happens next with the whole blackmail thing, I mean, that's what Maurice is afraid of being revealed. So if he didn't do anything, then what would he be afraid of?
Yeah, maybe. Well, was he going to blackmail him about Clive, though?
No. Scudder, I mean, like, Maurice thinks that Scudder is going to blackmail him.
Right. He thinks he's going to blackmail him
About
Clive.
their affair.
Okay. I'll have to watch this again.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, me too.
Either way, it works.
Right.
So, I guess now, like, there's a big cricket match at Clive's estate.
Yes.
I guess it's an annual tradition where some other houses come and they have this big match.
Right.
And so Clive isn't there to be the captain or something.
Yeah, Clive is. It's always supposed to be the man of the house is supposed to like captain the nobles team, but Clive can't make it because he's out working. So instead, we get Helena Bonham Carter in a cameo, sitting in the crowd, just saying stuff. I was like, "Is that Helena Bonham Carter?"
It is.
It is. Yes.
But yeah, she's just talking. She's running her mouth.
Yeah,
you know?
she's talking smack at the cricket match.
Dude, that's what I would do. Dude, if I knew how to play,
Sure.
I'd be talking smack. But no, they want Maurice to captain, right?
Right.
But he says, well, who's the best player? And it's Scudder. And he says, well, make Scudder the captain. Which, no, he's not one of us.
I mean,
you know,
that's, God damn
that
it.
class of a person can't be the captain.
You know, I have to bring up Gosford Park again because it's
Yeah.
always on my mind, really. But like,
I was thinking it.
yes, it's just like, okay, so if Scudder was to become like hugely successful in business and he's the wealthiest man in England, he'd be knighted and he'd probably marry a noble woman, but he'd still be thought of as common, even by his own children, because he doesn't have the pedigree. It's like Sir William in Gosford Park.
Yeah.
It's just like you are beneath us. You are not one of us. Even though you're footing the bill for this whole thing.
You're not cut from the same cloth as us.
No.
Doesn't matter if you look like it or act like it. You are not us. And so we get a cricket match, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to play cricket. I don't know what's happening here.
Dude, I don't know either. Well, one thing I do know that
Yeah.
is that like when you hit the ball, what would be a foul ball in our game is not a foul ball in cricket. Like you can hit it behind you and it's still in play.
Right, I think you can get like 20 runs in a bat or something. Like you can do something crazy.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I know we have like some people in the UK that listen to us. Like, tell
Yes.
us how to play cricket.
Yes. And also, by the way, for our UK listeners, we have to say something here. We've been saying Maurice, even though it's in our nature to say Maurice. We have really had to, try hard because we were calling the movie Maurice before.
Yeah.
Because that's just how we read it. But the French name Maurice is pronounced Maurice in America, and I know that in the UK they say Maurice.
Yeah, and in the film they say Maurice, so I think this movie is Maurice.
Of course.
Yep.
But it's just been really like
It's been difficult.
I thought in Maurice until I walked through that door 2 hours ago.
Well, in our last episode, I said stay tuned next week for Maurice.
Yes, you did.
So here we are.
Right.
I lied. It's Maurice. But yeah, we need to learn how to play cricket is what we're trying to
Yes,
say, really.
it looks like a
So,
marvelous game.
I bet it's fun.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so he's not appointed captain, and I don't know what happens. He's out there playing, and he gets like 3 strikes and he's out or something. I have no idea.
It's hard to know the significance of the cricket match. I mean, I'm sure if we knew the rules of cricket, it would mean more.
And I can't even tell if he did a good play or a bad play.
I can't either.
He's just out of the game.
And then because even when he made contact, I was like, well, that didn't sound like a real good crack of the bat there.
And so, so Scudder is like sitting on the sidelines now, and Maurice, after a moment, like gets out because Clive shows up mid-game and takes over, right? And then some play happens with him and Maurice, and then Maurice goes to the sidelines, and Clive is like in the game still. And while Maurice is sitting there, he's kind of behind Scudder, and Scudder is whispering something to another like groundkeeper or something here, and they start like laughing and looking at Maurice.
Yes.
So Maurice gets self-conscious and thinks like they're laughing about him being gay, and they know about him. They know what's up. Because Scudder and Maurice have kind of interacted and flirted a little bit to this point. Whether the scene of them making love was a dream or not, like they have interacted throughout this part of the movie where you can tell there's some kind of chemistry there.
Right.
And so maybe now Maurice is afraid, like, okay, I'm not 100% sure how Scudder feels or what his motivations are. Maybe now he's kind of turning on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he could tell that Scudder, like, even if they didn't actually have sex at this point, maybe that he could tell that Scudder admired him, and now he's like talking shit about me.
Yeah, maybe he's talking about his cricket game. I don't know.
Yeah, could be. I don't know. Right.
Yeah, so I guess he leaves, and then we get another Ben Kingsley, like, hypnosis session.
Yes.
I think this is where he has that great line about England being horrible about gay people.
England has
essentially.
always been disinclined to accept human nature.
Yes. It's such a good line.
Yes.
And Scudder ends up sending a letter to Maurice. What does the letter say? I don't remember.
Well, the letter asks him to come to the boathouse.
Yes, that's what it is.
And Maurice doesn't show up. And we see Scudder waiting for him and really disappointed and dejected that he didn't come. So then Scudder goes to London where Maurice's offices are. And Maurice is a stockbroker, and he's in there in his counting house. And there's a lot of activity going on. It's a big building. And Scudder walks in, and all the other like white-collar guys see him for who he is right away. Oh, this guy's not one of us.
Right.
And then he opens his mouth, and he doesn't speak like everybody else. So it's like, okay, who is this guy?
Yeah, he's from somewhere. He's not from this part.
Right.
And he's a lower class citizen. He's not. He shouldn't be in here.
Right.
Yeah, and so he surprised Maurice by coming here. And Maurice ends up kind of wrangling him so he doesn't just start shouting things that will get them in trouble.
Yes. And then I think it just occurred to me just now, Maurice looks over at some of his colleagues who are giving him the eye, and he immediately takes it the worst way, that oh my God, they found out my secret. But maybe they don't. Maybe that's just him being scared.
Right.
And we're seeing it through his eyes. But they end up going to the British Museum together. And they're enjoying the exhibits, but then they start to become hostile to one another. Maurice accuses Scudder of trying to blackmail him.
Mm-hmm.
And Scudder is really offended by that because, why would you say that to me? Why do you, so you think that I'm after your money and you think that I'm, don't have feelings for you.
Yeah.
And when they leave, they're walking down the street sharing an umbrella and doing this out in the open.
Yeah. I think Scudder is holding his hand on the umbrella also.
Yes.
They are touching like that out in the middle of the street. And I think they're kind of apologizing to each other for their behavior also. And Scudder wants him to come visit him, but then Maurice says, hey, why don't you come stay with me in London? You can live here and stuff. And he doesn't want to do that. And they end up getting a hotel room here for the day because Scudder has to leave and he's not going to stay. But Maurice is not going to leave the city either. This is their only chance to be together. So they get a room together and they make love.
And Scudder has also been talking to Maurice about his plans, which are he's going to go do service in Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
And he's leaving the next morning. And yeah, they have this tryst in the hotel. And Scudder gets up and walks across the room and starts getting dressed. And he's trying to be realistic about their situation and essentially saying, yeah, what we just did was great, but I can't come live with you. I can't live, we can't be together, two men. Even if no one suspected, if we didn't carry on, people are going to think strangely about us, and there's just no way of hiding it.
Right. And it's not only that, it's the class system, right?
They're
going to see me living with you. We're too different.
Yes.
And that wouldn't work alone, even if we weren't romantic with each other.
Right.
And so he's, like you said, he's being very realistic about things.
Right.
And Maurice is saying, hey, we can learn to be who we are without worrying about other people or about money or any of that stuff. We can make it work somehow.
Yes.
And Scudder tells him, no, it won't.
And I think Scudder asks him to just straight up, so would you be willing to sacrifice your position in life and your finances just for us to be together? And Maurice says yes, he would.
You believe him?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Because we've seen Maurice be very sincere about these kind of things. When he says something, he means it. But we've also seen him be very stupid about things.
Right.
So I don't know where he would fall on that.
Yeah, and he even with Scudder, before this happened, we mentioned how they'd had interactions previously. He'd been kind of a jerk to him when they first met, too. Like, he disregarded him. He thought of him as a servant and nothing more. He wasn't exactly rude, but he wasn't exactly polite either. So, like, Maurice has a lot of deficiencies, even apart from the way he treated Ada. And when Ada said to him, like, you've been unkind to us your whole life. I mean, yeah, he's probably been really high-handed with them, because he was the oldest son, and he was intelligent, and he thought he was better than everybody.
Right, and I'm sure he has a lot of repressed anger and stuff inside of him.
That too, yes.
Just like living with this secret that he can't tell anybody.
Right.
He can't be who he is to anybody. And if he does, he can pay for it with even his life.
Knowing that about him, it doesn't excuse really like anybody's like biggest faults. But when you have that hanging over you, that like literally the person that you are cannot be known, and the penalty might be death.
Yeah. Like, yes, it doesn't excuse his actions.
Right.
But it does explain them a little bit.
Right.
And so after this scene, we go to the boat. Maurice is going to see Scudder off. He shows up at the boat because Scudder's going with his family too, apparently.
Yes.
And so he gets to the boat. Scudder's not there, but his mother and father and sister are there. And so he introduces himself, and it's very awkward because they're all like, who the hell is this guy?
Yes.
He's got like a present under his arm. It looks like it might be a bottle of wine that's gift wrapped and stuff. And the boat's about to leave, and Scudder's nowhere to be found.
Yes, and it's his brother rather than his sister.
Oh, his brother, yes.
And the brother and the father are really suspect of Maurice because he's a fancy gentleman. And how does Alec know this guy? And what's his deal? Why is he here? And the mother is really taken with him a little bit. She's kind of, and she wants to talk about
this nice gentleman.
Right.
Here. Yeah.
Someone's taking an interest in Alec's dear. And Alec doesn't show up. Scudder is not at the boat.
The priest shows up, though.
Yes.
This priest who's kind of been in a few scenes before. He
Berenius.
shows up. And he starts talking to Maurice. He's like, yeah, I know what Scudder's doing. I know what his kind is doing. He's out fornicating in London. He spent all night fornicating. And now he's missing the boat.
I love it. That's the first thing that comes to this guy's mind. Yeah. Technically, he's right.
Technically, he was right.
Yes. Oh, man. But it's also great because Maurice smiles in this moment because he thinks that he obviously knows that like what Alec was actually getting up to, but also he knows that he kind of puts it together right here. Scudder's not here because he's waiting for me at the boathouse.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is what he's wanted from Clive his whole life. And now he's in love with somebody else, and the love might be returned.
Yes. And what the hell is he doing? Why am I on this boat?
Right.
Let me go to the other boathouse.
That's right.
One boat to another.
Uh-huh. And he goes there, and sure enough, yes, Alec is there waiting for him.
Yep. He arrives at Clive's estate, and we get one more interaction with Clive and Maurice here. Clive walks out of one of his, grandiose ballrooms onto a balcony. We get an interaction with Clive and Maurice again, and Maurice tells Clive, "Hey, I'm looking for Scudder," and he's telling him, he left. He went to Buenos Aires. Like, he's not here.
Right.
And so this is like our final interaction with these two guys, and Maurice is basically telling Clive, like, I'm in love with him.
Yeah.
And Clive is happy for him.
Clive is not
wrong?
happy. Clive is not happy for him.
Okay, so he's upset.
Right.
Because he wants Maurice's love.
Well, there's that, but he's also upset that Maurice is still pursuing this life.
Okay, so it's that too.
Right. He was supposed to be in London with his good lady wife. What happened to that, Maurice? You're not playing the game. He says, when Maurice tells him, I'm in love with Scudder, Clive's response is, what a grotesque announcement, he says.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, God, Clive sucks.
Yes.
Yeah. So then he leaves and goes to the boathouse.
Right.
And he walks in. Scudder's lying there on the ground in front of the fire.
Yeah.
And he turns and sees Maurice there and smiles. He's happy and says, "So you got the wire then?" What wire? The wire I sent to you to say meet me at the boathouse. He didn't get it. He just came here.
Right.
Because he knew that that's what he needed to do. And I think that's wonderful that on instinct he came here.
Yeah.
And Scudder was asking him to be here. And they kiss, they embrace, and then this is where we see Clive go into Anne's room and kind of kiss her, and it's out of character and stuff. And he ends up looking out the window, and she asks him, like, who are you talking to? Because she knew he was outside on that little balcony or whatever talking. Right. She could hear him, and he says, I was just practicing a speech.
That's a really good excuse he gave. And it's something that, like, Anne would definitely buy.
Yeah. He's a great liar, isn't he?
He sure is, yes.
He lies about a lot of things.
His whole life is a lie. And,
everything about it.
And he's just not, like, as the story goes on, Clive becomes less and less respectable. And it's so crazy because at first he was the sympathetic figure.
Yeah. It turned on him.
Right.
Just like you said.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you say he becomes less respectable, but in the eyes of society, he's more respectable.
It's
right?
It's so
but
twisted.
His true self is despicable.
Yeah.
He has no true self anymore, really. If he does, it's a little kernel of what it was.
Right.
And he's buried it deep down inside to not have to worry about it.
He might go the rest of his life, if he lives like 60 more years as a respected pillar of the community, as a nobleman, and he will never have known happiness.
I feel like he will never be happy, even if he seems that way or is pretending to be happy or even thinks he might be happy. Every night when he lies on that bed and stares at the ceiling, he's going to feel the same way he did earlier after he had that meeting with Maurice. He's going to think about it.
Right.
And he's going to have to deal with it eventually or just live with this and die with this, unhappy. And it's unfortunate because society has made him this way.
Because, like, even if he was to, like, clandestinely seek affairs with men, you know, just so that he can, like, have physical pleasure or whatever, he's not going to do that. He couldn't even allow himself to do it with someone he loved, so he's definitely not going to do it with someone who's just, you know, like he picks up off the street.
Exactly, right. And he almost wants this place he has in society more than his happiness. It's unfortunate that this guy has done this.
Right.
And, I mean, he's never going to be as happy as Maurice and Scudder are.
Maybe Maurice will find a small place somewhere, like he's going to be away from his family and everything, and away from even, like, you know, he's not going to see Clive anymore, and they are going to live somewhere secluded so that they can be together. Maybe they'll go to France.
I was about
to
say maybe they will move where they were told go somewhere else, where it's more acceptable.
Right.
Maybe they will.
Yep. I
hope so.
I hope so too.
But that is the end of the film, everyone. Dave, do you have anything else?
A couple things. This Gosford Park thing, just James Wilby in that movie plays Freddie Nesbitt, the least likable character in the film. And I know that movie has like 100 different speaking roles, so it's hard to keep track of who's who. But the next time you watch it, take note of James Wilby, because what an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, I got this movie from the library, and I found the DVD's box art lacking.
What was the box art?
It's a mostly white background with the word Maurice in all green lowercase letters at the top, and you see James Wilby from behind in the foreground, and then Rupert Graves is in the middle of the frame with next to a ladder, and he's not even really in focus.
That kind of sucks.
It does. The movie's official poster that you alluded to earlier was way better.
Yeah, and that still kind of sucks.
But it's better than this.
It's way better.
Yes, it's got like the cursive title and Hugh Grant looking longingly over his shoulder at James Wilby. I mean, I don't know why they went with this lackluster alternative for the home video release, but yeah, here we are.
And it's like a neon green like lettering, or
it's not. It's Kelly green.
Okay,
but it's just so nondescript, and like I like that the poster. Yeah, it kind of sucks, but at least there's like earnest yearning on the poster.
Yeah,
I kind of like
you a
that.
little something.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, would you recommend the movie Horrible DVD and poster or not?
Yes. Horrible DVD and all. I think Maurice is a pretty good film, everybody. Yeah, check it out.
I would agree. It's worth it. If you can stand that DVD art, check it out, man. All right, so that wraps things up. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to the show anywhere you get your podcast. Rate it, review it, and most of all, share it. It gets more dudes listening to the dudes, and you can also go to dudesonmovies.com and find anything you need right there.
Yep, and we're on Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Instagram. Look for Dudes on Movies, and our email address is dudesonmovies@gmail.com.
That's right. And Dave, we have a question of the week. What is the question of the week?
What are your favorite movies about repression?
It's a good one. Hit us up, let us know, and stay tuned next week when we continue with Pride Month with 1969's Funeral Parade of Roses, directed by Toshio Matsumoto and starring Pita. So until next week, I'm your dude Scott.
I'm your dude Dave.
And we'll see you next time.